Hello, welcome to the Just Marries video and podcast show. We have a guest today.
Hello,
Who are you?
I'm Sarah.
Okay, let's go straight into
Wait, should I plug my channel, Sancti? I just made a video with Marius about how Labubus are tearing society apart.
No, don't pluck it. Okay, let's go straight into Ourcraft. No, it is a good video though. You should. There's a hilarious ghost in it too. Okay, let's go straight into Ourcraft, and while we're waiting, let's like and subscribe.
Okay.
Oh God, I forgot I died last time.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what's the topic for today?
You told me that you were reading this woman, Laura Bates. I think she's a journalist, and she wrote a book recently about AI. And you were telling me you didn't read the book, but
No, I watched 2 interviews with her, and she kind of talked about a lot of stuff. I mean, some of the stuff we also sort of talked about before. But she kind of went more into it, and she kind of talks about how AI like kind of intersects with sexism, you know?
Okay. And how is that?
Well, I mean, she focused on a few different things, but like one thing, I'm not sure if I talked about this on this chat or I talked about it only with my group chat, but like this problem of deepfakes is just getting.
Oh, I see.
It's massive, right? I mean, she kind of starts it off like a bit more. Oh yeah, I guess it's like it's drawing people in because she's talking about like sex robots, right? Which is like the salacious thing, you know?
Yeah.
And so you kind of like imagine, ooh, like sexy robot, blah, 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 blah. And she's like kind of saying how like, well, but the places where this actually exists, because they apparently, I think it's in Germany even, there's like a brothel that offers sex robots.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like saying, it's like, they offer you to be like, what do you call it? Oh, they call it frigid mode, which basically is R-word mode. Are we?
God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, it's like, oh, she's not into it, but and she went to that brothel and she asked them to, would you prepare her right with torn clothes or something? And they did, you know. So it's basically like it simulates this kind of thing, right? And before we get to the deepfakes, that actually also like this is an argument that I've often heard, usually by men. Okay, now we're going to the next topic, right? But it's more like, I mean, maybe the R one, but also the pedophilia one. Are we just saying this? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it. Like my algorithm is tanked anyways. But so what some people say, I don't know if you've heard this before, right? It's like, well, it's actually good if there is
child models or whatever.
Yes, because then they will not do this to her. And she like she didn't make this point, but this has always been my point. It's like that's like an assumption you make. It could also the opposite could be just as true, maybe even more likely that it like it encourages it.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people argue, well, it prevents it, so I'm not against it. There's no evidence that it prevents anything.
Exactly. So it's just like a thing that people like to say, right?
Yeah. If anything, I think it's probably more likely to normalize it in people's minds.
That's what I was also thinking. Is probably like this is just at least like without looking at any of the data, it's just as likely. Like if not more. Anyways, and the same she's kind of saying with like the sex robots, right? Like if you have sex robots that are
if you can do that to the robot.
Yeah, I mean, you basically like, what's your relationship to women if you're like normalizing this in your mind?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But then she's saying like, okay,
where is this place in Germany?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I listen in the background. I think it's in Germany. It sounds like something Germany would do.
Germany is so weird because there's like churches and then sex shops everywhere. Right? It's like the number of both of those things is incredible. And also it's a lot more open. Like you would see walking down a high street like a sex shop, and it's got very not super explicit, but it's got nudity, it's got sex toys and things, and it's like children can walk by that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think in the UK no. Some of the stuff I see in Germany, I feel like this would not fly in the UK.
I guess that's true, right? Like, I mean, it's a bit more open about that kind of stuff, and like the advertising is also like more open.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, it's a bit of a different topic. I'm not sure how I feel about that generally, but like, I mean, I think Germans have a bit of this reputation of not being as brutish
Yeah. Yeah.
as English-speaking people.
See,
But
when you said AI, I assumed it was going to be like ChatGPT or something,
yeah,
not these robots.
it's kind of like unfolding this, right? Like she's kind of like going from like one to the next level, right? To make it like more and more clear of like, oh, okay, what she's talking about, right?
Yeah.
And there's like a couple of things, because so these sex robots, right, they cost like $10,000 or whatever, right? So not everyone has them, but what almost everyone is doing now, apparently, not well, what a lot of young people are doing is having AI chatbots to have sex with and role play stuff with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these are super popular. She says like there's at least 100 million downloads of them on like Google alone, and there's
Oh, I
probably
see.
more like this. So not just Chat GPT, but like
Other ones.
specific ones for this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And these two, right, like allow the same thing in a way, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they probably wouldn't have to, but like they
Yeah.
do, and that's
Yeah.
what people want. I
I
guess,
just mean
like,
like, of course, that's how people are using it.
yeah, frigid mode or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And okay, so like that becomes obviously a little bit more complicated because now it's like text,
Yeah.
then the question is like, well, how do people relate to that? What influence does this have, right? But it probably isn't ideal if like young people see this as their main source of like sexual experience or whatever, right? But I found it interesting how she was talking about like that. Well, this is the actual problem, right? Like we like talking about like the sex robots is cool or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But like the actual thing is like this, and that's insanely widespread. That's happening already. Like this future is already here,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then the other thing that was kind of like a similar kind of juxtaposition that she was talking about is but like AI creating deep fake videos, right?
Yeah.
And I think like she was on what's that, the British guy who has a radio show. He's kind of a little bit leftist. I forget. It's LBC. I forget. He talks about a lot about like Brexit people and stuff like that. But he was interviewing her, right?
Yeah.
And she was kind of saying it's like we're all talking about like deepfakes. Or what if like Obama is going to get faked? What if this and that?
Yeah.
You
But
know,
it's everyone.
well, so the thing is, right? Like this is all like random. It's like, oh, people will get tricked in the future, etc., etc. And she's saying like this is completely burying the lead, right? This is not the real topic. And like kind of this guy also kind of fell into that trap of being like, oh, I feel like we do talk about it, because what she's saying is like what's actually is happening on a large, massive scale is like deep fakes of people that people know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like that's very
Wasn't-
traumatic to people.
Wasn't that there was like a streaming scandal where some guy, I think he was in a relationship with a woman, and like they had some friend he was okay.
Oh, I think
Someone
I remember.
found like someone okay, I think he was watching deep fake content of her friends or something like that.
I feel like Hassan talked about
Yeah.
this, like that, like he had to apologize because he was on a website that had these kind of fakes. or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like
And I
that.
think he had paid for it maybe.
Well, I don't know. I don't really follow Twitch drama, but I think this is more or less accurate. But I mean, there is like a different level. I mean, not to like dehumanize like famous people, and like this woman
Yeah.
too, right? Like she's a relatively famous feminist author, right? She's getting a lot of abuse, and that's kind of what she's talking about too, right? Like this,
Yeah.
she gets deepfakes sent of her like being
Oh.
brutalized.
Oh god.
She kind of like says it to explain like what's actually happening. But like this is like young girls, like 14-year-olds or whatever, like.
Yeah.
And then the other thing she was saying, which is also very interesting, right? It's like a lot of these apps, you can't do it to men.
What?
They don't work.
Why not?
It just don't work. Like they don't make a male nudity. They don't make like
Oh, I
it's
see,
like
I
that's not
see.
what they're.
Like the base that they put
It's
they
for
blend
women.
the
Yeah,
people with.
they're making women naked, not
Oh, I
and
see.
I mean, that's what she's saying. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've not researched
I mean,
this.
even if they do, it just doesn't have the same power because it's not going to destroy the guy's life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
I mean, it will definitely upset a lot of men, but it just won't have the same
it doesn't have
cultural
the
weight.
social
Do you know what
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
exactly.
It's not like
He's ruined.
yeah, it's not
kinda.
like we view a man having like a nude image as the same as a woman having a nude image.
Yeah, exactly. So I do think this is an interesting thing. And then what she's saying is like, so we're talking about like these deep fakes in the kind of political sense, right? But like what's already happening is the sexual ones, and like to an insane amount.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
yeah,
probably just like there's all these worlds that we don't know about or interact with, but obviously those groups are thriving and have their own, their content, right? Like, the people who are watching that, they don't know about the Japanese fashion scene, right? And that we have, do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Everyone's so separated in their little bubbles, and so it's kind of, she's trying to raise awareness about like this is happening in some corners of the internet.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, because I feel like what she's kind of implying, I assume there's also corners of the internet, but the thing is, like, this is like very disparate, right? Like, you just need one guy,
Yeah, to
like
make a ton.
like, one 16-year-old boy is just going online and is doing that.
Yeah.
And like, it's not, I mean, obviously there's like a different level of like using it for their own,
Yeah.
and like actually like distributing it. Oh, what was this? Where was this? There was like a lawsuit where someone. Now I'm trying to not be too American about this and thinking that it's not wasn't a TV show, but like where someone said like a woman was like her nudes were leaked or something like that in that group chat between like college boys.
Oh, I don't know.
And they've said like, oh, what's the big deal? You were just the flavor of the moment or whatever,
Oh my
like
God.
we said like 100 photos per day there or something like that. Oh, this is the worst biome ever. It's almost as terrible as the societal state.
Oh, this book just came out a couple weeks ago then.
Yeah, I mean, and like the thing is, if you see people doing an interview tour, they usually have something to
Yeah,
promote.
something they're promoting.
Yeah. Anyway, I did find it quite enlightening. Enlightenment. Wait, can I steal someone's house? No, I think I can just die. Okay. All right. Shite happens to me. Anyway, do you have anything else to say?
No, I want to read more about what she's saying.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the book might be good. And she wrote that book, Men Who Hate Women, which are also kind of popular. I mean, Everyday Sexism was like this website. Comes from. I like her approach as far as I can tell. She seems pretty sensible.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of like some like anti-porn feminists can be very dogmatic, very rigid, it's kind of difficult.
Yeah. And not realistic.
Yeah, not realistic, not really. Yeah, I guess so.
Because to me, it's like, do you remember, Playboy used to be very controversial, and now that is so innocent compared to what people look at. And I don't know, you just have to think this is all a scale, and it could get even more extreme from here.
Yeah. I guess, right? And it's sort of difficult to see it going back, right?
Yeah.
Although, like, I talked to my friend, or who works in AI. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was kind of talking about this, like, oh, this is it's like too late. This is already done or whatever. It's out in the world. This can't be going back, right? I'm kind of like, in a way, this is true, sort of, right? Like, I mean, it's distributed, and so people can maybe download things like that or whatever.
They can always make it more difficult to make new stuff.
Exactly.
Somehow.
This is like, if the penalty, this is what I always think, is like, think in a world where the penalty for a deep fake that ChatGPT makes or whatever is the death penalty for the CEO. How many do you think ChatGPT is going to make? 0, right? Like that's like they will find a way. They just don't have an incentive. It's kind of the same as with Meta or whatever. They don't have an incentive to help like people. They don't care, right? Like they make money. They traumatized people for years and continue to do that, right? And they make a shitload of money, and it's not like there's no consequences
Yeah.
to that. So, and if there were consequences, they would stop.
I mean, the thing is, obviously, nothing can be banned 100%, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, things can decrease
Yeah,
significantly.
exactly. And also, like, I mean, that thing we were talking about, like the child stuff before, right?
Yeah.
Like the thing is, if it is more normalized, right, and if it is kind of like it changes people's minds,
Yeah.
right? Like if you're constantly exposed to this kind of deep fake stuff or whatever, all your friends are doing it or whatever, that normalizes it, and then there's like the next step that is the new the new level or whatever, right? Like you were saying with Playboy, right? Like that was actually very salacious or whatever, and now then it was Hustler or whatever, and they went like, oh,
And
they're
now
going so
Playboy
far.
is just like so
Yeah.
I don't know, just so tame.
Yeah. And now Supreme Court justices watch nothing but hardcore pornography and pretend they don't. That's a reference to a recent case.
I see.
You remember? I forget who it was, but I remember
Vaguely.
they were like, oh, this Pornhub, does it have articles written by philosophers like Playboy did? You know? No, doesn't. I don't think, because we don't have any public intellectuals anymore. Okay, that is the end of this. I survived the night. Well, I didn't. I actually died twice, but I'm alive now. Is there anything else you would like to say to the people? You can plug your channel.
Yeah, you can check out my channel.
No, don't do that. Just subscribe to me and like. Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
See you later. Stay spoopy, friends.